about them Cowboys. It's the Cowboys Squad, sponsored by Game Time. Everything Dallas Cowboys every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from America's team the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Cowboys Squad Show, starting now.
Well, it is the final week of July, and what a first week of training camp it has been already, although we've got some really bad news to kick off the show today. We'll get to that in a moment, but here we go. Welcome to another edition of the Cowboys Squad Show. Game Time is sponsoring the show today. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. We start with a welcome to the co-host of the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast, Landon McCool, who literally just got back from Oxnard as we are speaking right now, and the coach, the one and only Glenn Stretch Smith. Well, had a lot of really good, fun, pumped up things to kick off the show today that I was really excited. And then as we sat down to hit the start button, we got the breaking news, Landon, that according to multiple reports, left tackle Tyler Guyton, we heard a couple hours ago that he went down at one point during practice, went right to the Cowboys locker room. But according now to reports, he tore ACL.
That's what it sounds like. That's the report says. We're still waiting on an MRI, but initial reports are ACL. And unfortunately, you know, it seems like a lot of times these situations are pretty correct. They can tell by the video mechanism and everything. So, yeah, it's just brutal. I mean, I watched the whole thing happen and was kind of, I guess, trying to tell myself that it didn't look so bad. I mean, he was kind of face down on the ground for a little while and then kind of popped up and was getting some help, but then was able to kind of walk off on his own accord. But, you know, we've seen that, you know, lots of times with folks that have done in ACLs, that they're able to kind of do that. That doesn't ultimately mean that they're okay. So, yeah, just a super unfortunate situation for a guy that it feels like really was having a great camp and was really kind of on his way to improving and really taking a big step from where he was last year. Just a brutal injury for the Cowboys and for Tyler Guyton.
Right. Anytime you got the backside of the quarterback, I mean, that shakes the confidence of everybody. So that's certainly not good news. You can look at it a couple of ways. That, you know, this depending on how, again, and usually they can tell like how loose it is with an ACL, but you know, maybe back quicker if he had to go down. You know, you try to look for some ray of sunshine in a situation like this, but that's a tough break for the offense, and it's really a tough break when you've got so many. What I feel like is so much kind of on the line, especially with that position, because he had spent a lot of time this season putting some weight on, getting himself in what he felt like was the best shape so that he could, you know, go attack year two of where he was. But it's a shame.
Now, we should point out Landon McCool was in Oxnard today, as I said at the open. And so describe what was it, just running a play? And
yeah, they were doing 11 on 11. You know, they're basically doing move the ball, it seemed like. And they had just kind of flipped fields and started heading back the other direction. And you know, it was a bang play. And I actually didn't see at the time, you know, at the time I didn't actually see him go down. It wasn't until you kind of just, you know, waiting for everybody to reset up. One of the guys didn't get up. And at first it took a little while to kind of figure out who it was because, you know, like I said, he was face down and he kind of very quickly was surrounded by folks. But yeah, and then eventually was able to kind of pop up and walk off. So yeah, unfortunately we've seen that, you know, kind of that sort of situation with ACLs before where it's not like they need the card to walk or, you know, they absolutely need help. Like at first we were kind of just speculating maybe it was like an ankle sprain or something like that, but no, it clearly was not.
Well, we will we'll keep you posted on that as the news breaks here over the next hour or so. And this comes on the heels of the news, Landon, you were around over the weekend in Oxnard as well. Robert Jones, very first practice of the camp, just that horrifying neck injury. I mean, I trust me, broken bone. He's going to be out 2 to 3 months, maybe longer, who knows, but I'm just grateful that he's okay. I mean, that could have been, could have been paralyzed, whatever else. But the fact that thankfully he's okay. But man, I mean, it's just two really big injuries, obviously.
Yeah, and right, both in the offensive line really hurts. Obviously, and very serious area of your body to get a break. So definitely glad that he dodged serious injury. And combined with what's going on with Guyton, it's getting thinner over there in a spot where you felt like you had a lot of good bodies at least. They're dropping pretty quick.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those things that, in the unfortunate part of football, I mean, attrition is part of the deal, and it's a tough business for tough people. And, unfortunately, this is part of it. And you got to hope this young man, can make a quick recovery. I mean, hopefully there's not a lot of swelling that can get in there and fix it. And he can be on the road to recovery. But it's tough. And it's what you it's kind of what you don't want to see early in camp. You don't want to see this kind of thing. It's just tough to overcome.
So taking a look, guys, at the all way too early depth chart. So does this kind of move Awesome Richards up? Is he kind of the next in line for that left tackle spot? And then back to the guard. I mean, does this open things up maybe a little more for rookie Tyler Booker? I mean, he was kind of expected to start probably anyway, but there were rumblings that Jones was having a good camp.
Yeah, I mean, I think Booker was gonna end up starting there. That was kind of just a veteran getting an opportunity to get out there and kind of rewarding a veteran for hard work, and despite I think we should discuss that real quick, because I do think that's the maturity that Jones showed to kind of take Booker underneath his wing and kind of help develop him. He signed that deal with the idea that he would be competing to be a starter on this roster. He didn't know that they were necessarily going to be drafting a young guard in the first round. So I love that attitude, and it was unfortunate he got the injury. But his injury, I would say, is significantly less impactful than the Guyton injury. The Guyton injury is going to force the Cowboys to kind of have to reconfigure some things, whether they decide to move Tyler Smith out again to tap into that well again and move Tyler Smith out to left tackle, or to fully invest in Awesome Richards, who, I think more than earned this opportunity to try to be the primary backup. I think with his play over the last few years, my only concern there is he is significantly smaller than a lot of these other guys that are playing tackle, and especially in kind of a gap scheme. You want him to be able to be on the move, which he can do, but he also wanted to be physical when he arrived. So they had already been kind of looking at Austin. They like Awesome Richards a lot, and for good reason, I think. They were already looking at him as a move, kind of sixth offensive lineman tight end situation. Like I saw him yesterday in practice taking shifts, which is a very rare thing, like for a sixth offensive lineman to be doing, shifting and then motioning, that sort of thing. So, obviously that may need to be reconfigured. The other guy that could be, potentially in the mix here is Nate Thomas. Is a guy that we've seen, the rookie, I think 6th round pick from 2 years ago, was a guy that we've seen kind of taking some of those reps at left tackle as well. So, they have a couple of choices here. Obviously, none of them are what they were hoping to get out of Tyler Guyton. But they do have some in-house choices if they want to kind of go that route as opposed to looking at outside sources.
Anytime it's that position, I can see. I mean, I can see multiple shuffling of the deck here. You're going to go and you're going to find somebody who, out of your group, who's comfortable kicking on the left side. I mean, you got to. It is that important of a position, and I think. I mean, I don't think. I believe anything could happen. I mean, I think you could just see a shuffling of the deck to try to get the best five out there, and it's really unfortunate. But guys, people do it every day, and it's just part of the NFL.
Yep.
Well, that's going to change some things, as you said, and there's going to be a reshuffling, and that's going to be obviously now a huge story for the rest of training camp, along with everything else, but a significant one for sure. Landon, I don't want to, I want to kind of pivot here a little bit because you were in Oxnard and you've spent the last few days with the team. I'm sure you have a lot that you can share with us. What were some of the highlights, some of the takeaways, maybe some things you learned that you weren't expecting to learn?
Yeah, so they've basically been in pads for 2 days. And I think, the kind of default that we've seen right now is that it looks like the offense was a little bit ahead in the run game and the defense was a little bit ahead in the pass game. And I think that's, kind of continued a little bit today. I thought the defense today, secondary specifically, really, really looked good. And I also think that the offense is still kind of struggling to adjust in the passing game to the tighter windows that they're seeing now, because what pads allow you to do as a defensive back, right? They allow you to attack the triangle. They allow you to to rip at the ball as you're coming down. They allow you to when you're not in pads, like, you don't have equal rights to the ball. Like Schottenheimer talked about this, I'm pretty sure, and so, like, that's part of what is kind of the reconfiguring once pads come on. So there were a lot of drops today I saw by the offense. And I think
heard there was one. I'm sorry, there was one Dak Pickens connection. Is that true?
Yeah, they did it. Pickens actually had a pretty decent day, and including a nice throw down the sideline to Pickens for a touchdown. I would say certainly CD and Pickens looked pretty good, but I think everyone else is still kind of readjusting to, okay, hey, these guys are allowed to play tight coverage on me now. I need to kind of tighten up my vision, focus, make sure I'm securing the football when I get my hands on it. Too many passes where wide receivers touched the ball with their hands, and the ball ended up on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you start, you go to another level. Guys understand it's another level. When the pads come on, the speed changes a little bit.
Yep.
You're going to get in some more uncomfortable situations, which that means guys are going to come up and press receivers. Guys are going to try to get their hands on tight ends. It's going to become a more physical situation, and that's what you see every year. When that happens, when pad go on. I mean, people talk all the time about being in great shape. What does it take to get yourself in great shape? That's one thing. What does it take to get yourself in playing shape? Carrying those pads, understanding all those things. So it just takes a little time. And, am I surprised that the defense is maybe a little off in the run game? Not really, because I think run fits is something that takes – you can go against those trash cans. They can put the 5 trash cans up there, and those can be the offensive line all day. You can get in the gaps, and you can do all those things. But until you get the pads on, until you start playing with the leverage and understanding the leverage, you're going to be a little behind, and vice versa. Offense is going to be a little behind because guess what? They haven't been playing those stunts. They haven't been seeing the leverage of a true, ET or TE, whoever's going first, true stunt where they are picking a guy and then trying to get a guy open. So it takes all of that work to get it done, and that's why I try not to overreact early into camp. I don't want to get into really an overreaction scenario until you get into what I would consider a joint practice with somebody.
Yep.
And then let's see how that goes in a controlled environment of a joint practice.
Yeah, we got one of those coming up next Tuesday against the Rams. That should be extremely informative. And like Coach said, it's levels, right? There's levels to this. The pads on are a level. I would say that practice against the Rams is another level, right? And then I think that's probably about as intense as you're going to see competition wise with pads, closest to game reps that you're going to get for a lot of these starters probably. In the preseason, because I just don't think that with today's game, they're not playing these guys in the preseason very often. Maybe we see them get a little bit more play, or specifically whoever's maybe stepping in to be the starter at left tackle now. But I imagine that the August 5th practice against the Rams is likely going to be the closest that the Cowboys starters are going to see to serious football before week 1.
All right. Well, again, we're focusing on the breaking news of this afternoon. Cowboys left tackle Tyler Guyton went down with a knee injury. No official word yet on the MRI, but they believe that it's likely a torn ACL, which is just a huge bummer for him and for the team. When we come back, there was a pretty significant contract signing with the Cowboys over the weekend, but it was not Micah Parsons. So we'll get into that when we come back. It's great to be with you on this Monday night. Wish the news was different on Tyler Guyton, but it's good to be with you. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. All right, well, training camp is underway, and this episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. Fantasy football is back, so fire up the group chat, get your draft board ready, and buckle up for a season filled with breakouts, bursts, and all the overreactions we live for. It's all going down on Yahoo Fantasy. This year, I've got a couple different links. I'm trying to get the Squad Show League going. We're playing Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth league. All right? To celebrate 28 years of fantasy greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days, giving you more ways to play, more ways to draft, and more ways to win. It all begins August 4th. So stay tuned. Get started creating or joining a Yahoo Fantasy League, Fantasy Football League, at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. And let's make this fantasy season the best one yet. All right, welcome back to the Cowboy Squad Show. Landon McCool, the coach, Glenn Stretch Smith dealing with the news that Cowboys left tackle Tyler Guyton went down today with a left knee injury that they believe is a torn ACL. Man, what a bummer to start the week and this first week of camp as we get into week number 2. Over the weekend, Landon McCool was in Oxnard, and we had the big signing over the weekend, but it was not the Micah deal that fans have been calling for. Instead, tight end Jake Ferguson received a $52 million extension, and there are rumors that another deal might be coming, but for another Tyler Smith, but no Micah. But hey, let's just start with Jake Ferguson, though, because we've spent a lot of time talking about, wow, I mean, there's a lot of good bodies, a lot of opportunities potentially in that tight end room. But clearly the Cowboys have made a strong choice with this signing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they clearly wanted to bring him back. I think I would have loved to have seen him kind of one more year, just because I felt like with last year, even before the injury, it was like it felt like he was, a little bit sluggish as compared to the previous year. But I think now, like, what they're trying to do is getting ahead of the opportunity for him to have like a really huge breakout year with Pickens and CD, kind of drawing all this attention away from him. So, I think part of it is, sort of a ploy to kind of draw attention to the, hey, we're open for business, kind of thing, because the timing of this doesn't, like, why did this need to get done now? I don't really know. Like, I mean, it doesn't necessarily seem that, like, other than, like, that maybe the coach was, the agent was in town and was speaking to the Joneses. I think that they weren't in a huge rush to need to sign this deal. And as we kind of talked on the show earlier on the Cowboys show, Locked On Cowboys show, the slotting for him in the hierarchy of tight ends was pretty well set. Like, all the guys that were going to get their big money have gotten their big money. There wasn't anybody else like that was like needing to be signed to kind of put him into a proper context in the larger tight end group. So there really wasn't a reason that this would have gotten done or should have gotten done now versus any other time. So I think part of it is just to kind of, hey, let's get a couple other things out of the way while we're waiting on Micah and show, we're open for business. So I guess Jake was a benefactor to that sort of.
Yeah, well, let me ask you. I mean, you're saying you don't think that the Kelsey's due, Andrews is due, Pitts is due, looks like Goddard's due. You don't think any of those have a bearing on what possibly Ferguson could have gotten?
I don't think so. I mean, Kelsey's an older guy. He's completely on a different track. Pitts is underperformed and was a former first-round pick, so his contract negotiation is going to be weird no matter what. I mean, people are paying Pitts are going to be paying him as like a main target weapon, I would imagine. And I mean, Goddard is also kind of in a different situation where he's produced, but like is at a different age. I just felt like he's kind of squarely in that third tier of tight ends that either have all gotten deals. Like, I mean, or, like Trey McBride's already gotten his deal. And that's like the guy that I feel like probably was the one that was closest to what I would imagine is, the kind of framework Ferguson. I could be wrong though. I mean, maybe, I mean, to me, it just didn't seem like the rest of those guys kind of, it's almost like TJ Watt getting signed before Parsons, where it's like, yeah, like, I mean, it's in the list, but TJ Watt's also an older player and probably not as dynamic as what Micah is right now. So Micah was always going to make more money than TJ Watt. So, I just don't know that like how much any of these other deals that like are about that could be signed would have moved the needle too much on the Ferguson deal. Maybe $1 million here or there.
Yeah, I do believe that it is, that they do try to be proactive in certain situations. That's Jerry and Steven. They do try to be somewhat proactive, and knowing that this is Dak's comfort level is with Jake Ferguson, and they felt that way so much that they let Schultz walk out of the building. So I'm saying that I think they they have some value in that, and were proactive in what they did. The last time they were proactive maybe was when they got Jason Witten on a proactive deal. But the point I'm making is I do think they're doing everything imaginable here to get the quarterback and the $60 million guy comfortable. That's what they're trying to do. And they've shown that throughout the offseason. They've shown it throughout the draft. They have done everything they feel like they can do to help the quarterback. And so does it surprise me? Not really. Initially I wasn't really understanding what Steven was saying when he came out and said, talking about Micah, that, hey, Micah has to want to be paid. And then you think about it and you're like, well, okay, maybe I get that. But I think they're showing that they're willing to, they're willing to move on to the other guys that they feel like have priority. Not that that's more of a priority over Mike. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that they felt like they could get that deal done and get that deal wrapped up. And I think that's exactly where they're going now. What they do with Tyler Smith, evidently his agent was out there today. So,
well,
I mean,
this is going to get complicated now, don't you think, Coach? Like, I mean, now that Guyton's hurt, Tyler Smith and Tyler Guyton share the same agent, right? And as we just talked about, there's a chance that Tyler Smith is potentially going to get kicked out to left tackle to finish the season. That probably changes your number, right? Like that probably, if you're the agent, suddenly now we're having a little bit of a different conversation, right? So my guys,
maybe I'm going to say that also that I can tell you that from an optics standpoint, I think they give Awesome Richards, because he played there last year. He didn't do bad.
No,
in the time that he got the starters time out there. So, I mean, if I had to bet on it today, I would say that's where they're going to go. They're going to move him out there because there's a comfort level with him playing that position. Yep. But do I think that could happen? I mean, you could sell me just about on anything, again, with a guy that is going to have a comfort level kicking to the left side, because it's a more difficult, it's more difficult to do it with your left foot than it is with your right foot. I mean, it's just it's just left hand, right hand dominant. It's like anything else that you try to do when you have to, instead of thinking it has to become natural for you.
I can just imagine a scenario where they're, trying to keep Awesome Richards in at left tackle as long as they can while they're working to get that guard deal signed for Tyler Smith. So just as soon as that ink is dry, they kick him right back out to left tackle just in case Awesome doesn't make it. But listen, all joking aside, I am the biggest Awesome Richard fan. I felt like he's deserved this opportunity. I think I hope that they do give him this opportunity. I hope that he gets the full chance to be the starter at left tackle. I think he's earned that right because of the way he's played. And every chance that every time that they've thrown something at Awesome Richards, whether it's, hey, you played left tackle, hey, play right tackle, hey, go play left guard, hey, play right guard. Like every time that they've done that, he's done it and he's played well. I mean, especially compared to some of the other folks that have gotten in at those same positions versus him. So I'm a big believer that he could do it. Let's see if they give him an opportunity.
And I don't know what's out there from a veteran / kind of retired standpoint. I don't keep up with the personnel boards anymore, but I can guarantee you they're probably making some calls to, maybe some veteran guys.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Well, and back to the tight end room, on a down note, Brevin Spanford injured his ankle, right? He's going to be out for a few weeks. So that kind of puts him back in line a little bit. And then you have Schoonmaker and John Stevens. So I guess it's not really that much, we kind of speculated, wow, they have all these different options, but things have kind of fallen into place. And so we'll see.
Yeah, I think Brevin Spanford will be back, hopefully, a couple of weeks. And he's definitely going to make the team just based on the way, they've talked about him and the kind of, I think, uniqueness that he provides with his size. But I mean, obviously it's early and injuries are already piling up. And I think, that's going to happen when you have a more physical camp. And it does feel like this camp has been a little bit more physical. These last two practices have been high energy and high level of hitting. And I mean, I think that happens early on anyways, because the young guys especially are just chomping at the bit to like hit somebody. But it does feel like physicality has been, instilled very heavily in these guys and they're taking it to heart. But obviously the unfortunate part of that is guys fall on the ground, guys fall down. Coach, we talked literally, Coach and I were joking about it. What was it last week about stay off the ground, and that's all they're saying about it over and over again in practice. And unfortunately, it still happens that people trip, they fall down on each other's legs, and then inevitably, you get somebody who bumps the knee the wrong way, and unfortunately, stuff like this happens.
Again, it's learning how to practice too. There's a learning curve with understanding how to practice. Guys understanding how to practice and to keep your ass off the ground. And I mean, I'm telling you that's a big deal. I mean, being athletic enough not to get on the ground. You have to learn. You got to learn how to practice. And there's a learning curve with guys going from college to this level, and keeping yourself off the ground is a big deal. And it's just part of the learning curve with it. So other than preaching, take care of one another and understanding what that means, there's not any other way around it. It's part of the game and it's part of it, but you have to learn how to practice at a very fast pace and stay off the ground.
All right, really quick before we go to our next break, I feel like I would be a fail as a host if I didn't go back to something that the coach said. Coach, you mentioned the comments made by Stephen Jones about Micah Parsons and his situation. And Landon, I want to get your thoughts. You were there. I mean, you heard the press conference. I know another Smith that I used to work with, Stephen A., just blasted Stephen Jones for those comments when he said, "Hey, Micah has to want to get paid too." But I'm curious, what are your thoughts on just him speaking out like that? What does it say to you, if anything? Micah seems to be getting a little bit more frustrated as each day goes by. What was your sense being out there?
I just don't believe any of this. I wish I could buy into the hype and hype. All right. But to me, it's a bunch of Micah's out there every single day, and the things that are being blown up and outraged, it's like people are trying to find reasons to be upset about this, and they are, and I get that. And I'll say this too: there is no one better, maybe in this world, than being intentionally misunderstood than Jerry Jones. He understands the art of, and I think his son has caught some of it. He understands the art of saying something without saying something. Truly kind of creating intrigue around a thing that if you hear him say it, doesn't cause any kind of kerfluffle at all in my immediate mind. To me, look, I look at it this way: they had an agreement here. They had an agreement before. Even his brother, Micah's brother, came out and said, "Today, y'all have it twisted. Jerry loves Micah, and I think the feeling is mutual." I just have a hard time believing this isn't all part of the same negotiating stuff that we see every single year. It feels like, which that part is unfortunate, but I'm not falling for the proverbial banana in the tailpipe again this year, Jerry. This is not to bust out a 45-year-old, Beverly Hills Cop reference, but I just don't think that this is something that this deal's going to get done, and then we're not going to talk about Micah and the deal and all this, and we're going to have spent a lot of time and a lot of ink over something that probably won't end up being a huge deal.
I mean, I think the deal gets done too, but I also think that when you have Steven saying that, I don't know what number. I'm sure we were in that. Everybody was in that 40 million, 4 for 40 million range. And I'm telling you, I think the plot, the plot thickened when TJ Watt signed. I think the price of poker went up. Now, okay, where are we now? Is Is it 4 at 45 per? Is it 43? Is it what is the number? And then it feels like for Stephen to say that, it feels like there's been something thrown out that he didn't like the taste of, and that's why he came out and said, hey, he has to want it. It's got to be realistic here.
To me that just feels like this whole thing has been like some kind of game of chicken about who calls who first. It's like this old old way of negotiation that the guy who blinks first loses or something like that. I that's what it feels like. It feels like the whole thing is just like, well, he's gonna have to call me if he wants to get this deal done, and Mike is on the other side going, well, they won't call us, they won't, why can't the Joneses pick up the phone? And so it's like that's why to me this is like almost not worth discussing, because it feels childish. It feels like two sides that won't pick up and call the phone because they're mad at each other. Like, you guys are standing next to each other on a field at a practice field. I watched you guys stand next to each other at different points on the practice field. Like, I don't know. It's gotten a little insane at points. And seriously, every single time I hear people talk about it, I hear the circus organ grinder music playing in the background somewhere. That's what it's gotten to.
All right, and just
it doesn't feel like he's trying to reach out to him on the CD radio. Hey, Breaker 19, you got your ears on out there, good bitty?
No, I don't think he does have his ears on at this point.
Do they still have CB radios in trucks?
Oh yeah.
Or do they use cell phones now?
Absolutely. What was you had one as a kid? What the hell was your handle? Don't act like you weren't out there on it.
Yeah, I don't. I don't remember what my handle was.
I appreciate your honesty and knowing you were on it. Hey, that's part of the deal.
Yeah. And real quick, Landon, so people know. So as of now, right now, Micah is a full participant as well, right? I mean, he's not, or is he holding in?
Well, he's holding in. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't dressed out today, so but he was out there doing running around.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that changed. Okay, cool. All right. Well, when we come back, unfortunately, we have even more injury news and even more contract news. So we'll get to both of those when we come back. But the breaking news of today, this afternoon, man, what a bummer. Left tackle Tyler Guyton goes down with a knee injury. The Cowboys fear it is a torn ACL. Maybe, hope and pray maybe it's not, but it's not looking that way. We'll have more when we come back. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. All right, well, it's that time of year again. We've all been there, and if you log on early and you're waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show that you've been dying to see, live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. And another thing that's really cool is if you ever wonder, are these good seats? Am I going to like it? Should I pay? Do I want to go? Do I want to sit there? You can actually look what your seats are like before you buy. The app shows you a panoramic seat view, so there are no surprises. I mean, that's pretty cool. So take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL, LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We are back, the Cowboys Squad Show. Landon McCool and the coach, Glenn Stretch Smith. Real quick, Coach, I was thinking about you. some of the videos I've seen online, and I know Landon, you were out there, to your point about not getting on the ground and also just trying to create the right environment. Heard a lot of the coaches constantly yelling, "Stay up, stay up."
Wait. I'm sorry. I have breaking news.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Tyler Guyton's ACL is intact after an MRI. According to a source, he has a bone fracture and will not require surgery, looking at a 4 to 6 week recovery.
Cowboys go.
And expected news per
There we go.
Yes, sorry. Look, there's even Marcus. Marcus just is in the chat right now, live, guys.
Are you
not a torn ACL, guys?
Jeff, I want you to take your first 20 and go right down the road there and get you one of them scratch and sniff tickets. Now it's the first big break of the year, pal.
That's right. Everybody, go get your lottery tickets, because clearly, fortune has smiled on us all, friends. Thank goodness for that.
Marcus, why don't you jump on here, buddy? Should I send him the link?
Yeah. Hey, Marcus, seriously, anytime you want to hop on, like, send him the link. See if he'll.
Yeah, I'm going to do that right now. Come on,
please.
This is big. This is big stuff here.
Yeah.
Now, I said, say a little prayer. Maybe it's not a torn ACL. Boom.
Hey, prayers worked,
Amen.
Guys. Congratulations. Amen. That's good news.
Wow. So that changes everything, right?
That really does.
Coach, talk about that. I mean, that's.
That's great news. I mean, it's the way. It's the way. I'm just telling you guys. It's the way of. In my mind, it's part of the game, and then you just in the same way that there's times when you get some rough news. I mean, you get some good news. I saw Terrence Steele back out today, or it was yesterday, walking around the practice field. This guy had a high ankle sprain, and they said was, then they changed the diagnosis on it, right?
Yeah, Coach, I'll take you a step further. He had a great day of practice today. He was out there eliminating defensive backs and pulling in great power plays and doing really great stuff like on the second level. He looks really athletic. So yeah, sometimes you think high ankle sprain, he's out for a month. Suddenly it's low ankle sprain, and now he's back on the practice field the next day. It's a real roller coaster at training camp, and I think we've experienced that roller coaster here in the last 40 minutes on this very show. So, I think.
So maybe
you need to see. Maybe you could see. You need to see if you can get one of these sponsors that their mantra or their saying is overreaction. It's an overreaction. We're here to overreact.
That's right. There you go. I like that. Well, I was going to say, so could this apply maybe to wide receiver Paris Campbell, who sprained his MCL over the weekend? Sprained, didn't tear it. Any word on him?
Sorry, who?
Paris Campbell.
Paris Campbell. So I haven't heard any follow-up on that, but it did sound like his situation may have been more serious. But I have not heard any other kind of word on Paris Campbell. So anytime that I'm not hearing word on it, like it kind of makes me nervous. But I don't think Shotty said anything. I was at the press conference this morning, and I don't think Shotty mentioned him or anything like that. So I haven't heard anything.
Well, maybe no news is good news, as they say, right?
Maybe. Could be.
All right. Well, we mentioned that Tyler Smith could be getting his deal. It's all about the Smiths, right, Coach?
I wish it was. Send me a couple hundred.
We're waiting for Micah, obviously, and Deron Bland said over the weekend as well. He's currently talking to the team about a new deal. So,
yeah, that's not surprising. I mean, I think they really like Deron Bland, his attitude, his his production has been very high. I mean, I think he had kind of an up and down year a little bit last year, but defensive backs have up and down years. That's common. I like, Bland a lot. He can play man. He can play inside. He can play outside. He's a good zone player. I came into the league having played a lot of man coverage in college, which is kind of unique. I think, which is part of the reason that he was able to hit the ground running the way that he did. But yeah, I think I wouldn't be shocked if Bland was the next guy in this line. The Bland deal's the one interesting one, right? Because it's one of those situations. Most of the times when you sign guys like in these situations, you get cap room, or you're able to produce cap room because you're alleviating a high number that a player is usually currently playing on. A lot of times it's like, first or second round picks, by the time that they sign their deals, right, they're already making, $20 million in base salary, and you're able to actually reduce that number by signing them for that immediate year. Bland's not going to be that situation because Bland was a 5th round pick. So Bland's on an extremely cheap deal, like cheaper than the cheapest vet minimum. And so any deal that Bland signs, the Cowboys are immediately going to lose, some cap number, whatever the hit is for the first year. So a little bit of a unique deal there, but I still think, they've already paid all the guaranteed money out of Diggs's deal, so they should have the money kind of saved around to give Bland his deal if they want to extend him.
Yeah, right. and I'm like you. I mean, that's from a prioritization standpoint. That's he would make sense, from a priority standpoint, as would, to be proactive and get Tyler Smith and get him done. I mean, I think everybody kind of wants to be critical of Jerry, but I think Jerry, there's times when Jerry is very proactive with what he's wanting to do. And this in the same way that the Jake Ferguson deal feels like he was proactive, I think he's proactive in these situations. And let's give him a little credit instead of, saying he always waits. He's so slow. Why does he wait? What is he waiting for? I mean, he's got the checkbook, and the last I checked, he's the guy that's signing it. So, I mean, I think it's hard to be critical of that.
All right. Well, I still think, though, for me, I still think, and we talked about this last week, I think it's a fair, legitimate question. I cannot disagree with anything you just said, Coach, but I think it is a fair question to say why. Like, what's the holdup? Why not get it done? I think, I think some fans have been upset, right? Apparently, I don't know how bad it was, Landon. I heard conflicting reports that there were a bunch of fans that were yelling at Jerry Payne. I heard it was only a handful. Either way, I think at the end of the day, the heart is in the right place. They want to see that they love Micah. They love the team. They want the team to win, and they want to see him getting taken care of. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, Jerry's working the way that Jerry wants to work here. And if we had I understand the complaints. The complaints I think are rightful, but it shouldn't be about whether or not oh no, they're not going to sign Micah Parsons. That's never the problem. And that's not the issue here. When was the last time the Cowboys desperately wanted to sign somebody and they didn't sign them? If it's Micah Parsons or Dak Prescott or CeeDee Lamb, it gets done. The problem is that they're paying more than market value, and then that ties their hands down the road to go out and make other moves. That's the general issue. If you're going to have an argument, that's fine. We can make that argument. And I think, we can have that argument about whether or not that is actually an impactful, amount of money, right? And whether or not that's something, just a price that Jerry is willing to pay for getting the opportunity to be certain about who he's paying, right? I think Jerry has been proactive over the years at certain points, and I think it's burned him at different times, right? The Tyrone Crawford deal, the Zeke deal, the Jalen Smith deal. I think all those deals that he got ahead of the curve. I also would like to point out those are all very similar to what the Ferguson situation was, right? Where that's the problem becomes when Jerry gets mad with this money, right? And he was mad at Zeke, so he paid Jalen Smith, and then he ended up still paying Zeke all that money, right? So I don't know. I think the issue to me has never been whether Jerry is or Steven pays those players. That's why I don't get into this relationship stuff, or that people are mad, or maybe the fandom is mad at Jerry, and that's that's obviously their right. But I think at the end of the day, Mike is going to get paid. Those guys are going to give each other a huge hug over a gigantic check that Jerry is going to be handing Micah. and then Micah's going to play, a good portion of his career as a Dallas Cowboy, and this will all be forgotten. So I think we can have a conversation. We should have conversations about the value that the Joneses are losing by waiting, and if that makes a difference in free agency. I think those are healthy conversations to have, but that Steven or Jerry don't like Micah, they're going to get rid of Micah or whatever. Like, I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it, honestly.
Well, let me just ask you on the. I'm just since you and I on 28th of July. How many games Cowboys win this year? Right now, tell me how many you think they win.
8, 9 games, 10 games.
Okay, let's just say 8. Let's just say 8 or 9. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, would you take the Cowboys out of it, take the players out of it? At the end of the day, would you be comfortable with the highest paid quarterback, highest paid receiver, and the highest paid defensive player in the league with a 500 football team?
If I was the owner, no, I wouldn't be happy with that.
Would you be happy with that?
No, I wouldn't. No.
Right. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
That really is what we're talking about. And I'm not saying that I think they're a 8.5 or 9 win team. I mean, you could convince me they could win 11, and you could convince me they might win 5. I mean, I don't feel just all shot in the ass one way or the other to go either direction. But I know from a business perspective, and that's what we're talking about here. Make no mistake about it. It's a business. Mm-hmm. And from a business perspective, if you're outing that kind of money, and the last I checked, I mean, Las Vegas, they air condition the desert and leave the lights on all the time, and it ain't because they lose money out there. And they set the over and under number at 8.5. So I just think that we're easy to let the doctor hit you across the knee with a mallet and make a wham. Okay, well, let's just pay him, pay. Okay,
hey, that's
at the end of the day, when the outcome is you're predicted to be kind of right there, I think Jerry has a hard time with that. He does.
And listen, this is where I strongly disagree with a lot of Cowboys fandom, and the whole argument is that I need to be shown exactly how impactful this behavior is in, the overall ability for them to spend money. Because ultimately, if this is a negligible amount of money, and this is just about Jerry's preference, then that's just Jerry's preference. I mean, it's not I feel like there's been a lot of times when Jerry and Steven have gotten knocked for potentially not putting a good team around, these groups, which I think is just not necessarily the reality. There's been too many times when I feel like folks have said that Jerry and Steven haven't put good teams around Romo when he was around, or Dak. And I look around at all the Pro Bowlers and all the first and second round picks that were hits. And this team has done a decent job over multiple decades at different points of assembling a football team. They've had some good and bad luck. They've had some good and bad coaching. They've had some good and bad play. But as far as the job of talent acquisition, I don't think that the Joneses should be getting the ire that they get consistently from a certain segment of fandom. I think that they've been pretty decent at doing that, and I can tell you how there's a level of cognitive dissonance that exists in fandom, because the way that they think about Will McClay, and then the way that they think about Jerry and Steven, when ultimately they're working on the same team to bring players into this group. And if you like the results, unless you know something I don't know, it's really difficult to kind of parse the who's what and with that group. So yeah, I don't disagree with you, Coach. Some of the things that the Joneses do, it's not necessarily how I would play it, but it's also not my money. I'm also not spending, hundreds of millions of dollars to put a team out on the field. So if this is just about preference for a couple $1 million, it's not my couple $1 million to complain about.
Well, I mean, fans can certainly, they have their attitudes, and hey, they should. They pay their money, and they should. Yep. I don't want to take a break right now. I don't need a damn break sign.
Sorry, Coach. Final timeout. All right, final timeout. When we come back, a surprise special guest in our final segment, and Coach will let you finish. We'll do that literally in seconds on the Cowboys Squad Show. Well, how is that for technology, huh? You blink, wow. you can't, don't blink. You'll miss something here on this show. Literally. There he is, one of the co-hosts of the Daily Locked On Cowboys podcast, along with Landon McCool. He's with us every Thursday, but hopping on tonight. Marcus, want to thank you. You were the one that broke it to Landon and me, literally. The good news about Tyler Guyton, not a torn ACL.
No, I just wanted to hop on real quick to say I just got back from the corner store, loaded up on lottery tickets, got a Dr. Pepper for Coach, and we're nice. Doing well. It's a lucky day for Cowboy fans. So that's all, Jeff. That's all I had to say.
This has been the longest hour-long show I've ever been a part of. The roller coaster we've experienced, Marcus, is it really has been something, to say the least.
Can't wait to talk about it on Locked On Cowboys. Coming out on Tuesday. How's that for a plug?
That's right. There you go. Yeah, make sure you guys tune in.
All right. Enjoy your show. I can see you guys later.
All right, Marcus. Thanks for hopping on, buddy. Beautiful. Coach, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Did you?
No, hell no. You interrupted me. By God,
he's done. He doesn't want something.
All right.
Move on.
Okay. Well, one final thing, and again, the good breaking news. There were fears that Tyler Guyton suffered a torn ACL. That is not the case. He does have a broken bone. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. But considering that we're still in July, I mean that's just huge good news for the Cowboys. Really quickly, little quick defensive note, guys. According to reports, this is also according to Todd Archer. Matt Eberflus brought in 4 different corners that he's familiar with that have played for him to work out. Not sure what they need or what they're looking at or what's in play here. But the 4 DBs are Thomas Graham, Harrison Hand, Christian Holmes, and Christian Matthew. That was apparently today.
I gotta tell you, I've literally never heard of any of
those. Yeah, me either. So
I feel like I follow the draft pretty closely every year. I don't think I know those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, they're looking for guys knowing that they got to have guys to practice with.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
That's the bottom line. They want some guys. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it's, some of those guys. I don't know any of those guys. Certainly if maybe they come out of the UFL, maybe they're CFL guys. Who knows? I mean, just guys that need to come in and practice. You got to be able to practice. You got to be able to do all the things that we talked about doing there. So it's not going to surprise me, if this is a weekly scenario when you have, the defensive backs that they've got on the pup right now that aren't able to practice. And then what I think Butler had an issue today, was a hamstring issue or something. So I think they're down in numbers from a secondary standpoint. So bring in guys and work them out. Let's take a look at them and see if they can offer us something.
Yeah, Wanye Thomas is also out. He's a safety, but he's been playing nickel. So I wouldn't be shocked if maybe some of these guys are nickel guys. So right. Yeah, that makes some sense for sure.
All right. Final thought before we go. Landon, I wanted to ask, when you were there today, did you have a chance to hear, a couple things. Apparently Jerry Jones raved about Coach Schottenheimer, that he's exceeded expectations so far, but Schottenheimer himself apparently raved about Hunter Lepke. And I know how much you love him. So
yeah, listen, I was standing right there, and it was like I was like, Coach, stop flirting with me. Yeah, like it was. Listen, I'm a huge Leonard Lipke fan. I love that type of player, versatile guy who can do a little bit of everything for your team. And I think Coach described him perfectly, right? Like, I mean, he's just a guy. He's reliable carrying the football. He can catch the football. He can block as a tight end. We've seen him as a kind of motion in as a wing. He's a special teams player. I love those kind of guys who can just do a little bit of everything for your team. You know, he's just a valuable guy that especially on a modern day, you know, with game day roster restrictions and that sort of thing, having a guy like this who can basically play everything except for maybe defense, you know, it's just super, super valuable.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you gotta have some smart guys. I mean, you gotta have some guys who can play and you feel comfortable putting in the game as smart guys. You know, we've talked about all the guys that, you know, have gotten banged up, but when you have a guy who can play and fill multiple roles and play multiple situations and give you something on special teams, there's a value to that.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, there has been value to this show. It was a roller coaster ride, but we got through it. We made it. And again, we can at least wrap up on a positive note that the injury news to Tyler Guyton is nowhere near as bad as we thought. So amen to that. All right, Landon McCool, welcome back from Oxnard. We'll look forward to hearing you and Marcus tomorrow, right? But back at it tomorrow with the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast. And Coach, we will be together again with Marcus on Thursday. Look forward to that. Have a great rest of the week. Thank you to everybody for getting in today. Stephen White, Marcus jumped in, Reese, who else? I want to give everybody their props. Beirut Wedding.
Yeah.
Ken.
We've seen him a couple times.
Yeah. I love that. All right, guys. Hey, have a great night. Enjoy the week. The news keeps on coming. Make sure you stay tuned to the Locked On Cowboys podcast. This has been the Cowboys Squad Show.